All right. Howdy, howdy. This is Charles Breeling, aka Flat Earth Math. How is everybody doing out there in the land of globe versus flat? Um, it's been a long delay. I took a couple years off, but during the pandemic, I've been kind of neglecting all the flat Earth channels I used to follow, but I've been receiving some notifications from um, Kyle Adams, and so occasionally I'll post a comment on one of his videos, and he and I have always had a friendly relationship. So he and I are going to be starting to chat over the next days or weeks. We're still coordinating, but I hope everybody is doing well out there. This is just a test. This is just a test of my streaming to using StreamYard, um, and Flat Stuff Earth. Welcome. So I'm just testing. So Flat Stuff Earth, if you've got if you got something on your mind, I was going to talk about sextants because uh, I see that sextants is now the new topic of the day. I had a comment earlier from Nathan Oakley. He commented the comments that are on the live stream, especially before the event has started, they tend to disappear after an hour or so. So his comment is no longer available. But I do appreciate the little celebration, Flat Stuff Earth. Um, but Nathan Oakley left a comment, and he said you can't have a curved adjacent. You can't have a curved adjacent if you are using a sextant. So I guess the claim is that sextants cannot be used on the globe. So I was talking to my wife about this, and she's like, "Don't they understand scale?" Uh, so, yeah, the big argument with regards to I think looking at the horizon, it sort of devolves into uh oh, okay. Thanks, Flat Stuff Earth. All right, I'll have to check out. I'm not familiar with your channel. I'll have to check out. I'll have to check out your stuff. Um, but the concept of pointing a sextant at the horizon, um, and is it the geometric horizon? Is it the apparent horizon? And then the argument will just go around and around in circles. Well, if it's the geometric horizon, well, then that means you can't see it. If it's the apparent horizon, well, then you're not actually measuring anything because you're not accurately pointing it to the actual geometric horizon. So it's like, you can't win. The conversation just goes around in a circle. Um, so I would just say, you know, I'm just pointing it at the line where the sky meets the ocean. Whatever you want to call that point, that's where I'm going to point my sextant. But the whole concept of celestial navigation is absolutely fascinating. I know Wolfie 6020 had a video a couple weeks ago where he's challenging folks to do any kind of navigation, to do any kind of navigation at all using a sextant on a flat Earth, and then being able to get from point A to point B, or at least describe how mathematically how you would use the tool of a sextant to get from point A to point B. But the concept of a sextant in celestial navigation is fascinating. Don't drink the tap water. I lived in Philadelphia for, I guess it was about 10 years, and man, I drank the tap water every day, and it was good water. When I was a kid growing up, like the water in, like, you would go to a public drinking fountain or something, and it always just tasted nasty, tasted like chlorine. But I think they really cleaned up their act. I mean, technology always gets better. But when I had my apartment in Philly, and that was probably from about 95 to 2005, the water was great. But I drank lots of tap water. Now here in Norristown, Pennsylvania, which is not far from King of Prussia, we cook and stuff with tap water, but we've recently switched over to getting those jugs, the 5-gallon jugs with a dispenser. One of the reasons why we got that is because we've got 4 little kids, and so my wife used to joke that she was the snack bitch, and so she didn't like having to fetch snacks and drinks for everybody. So we got this dispenser, we got a little set of cups, and then so the kids can dispense their own drinks. And those little squeezies, I think the name brand is Mio squeezies. We actually use the little name brand, see little spritz of a flavor, and then you fill it with water. Got a nice comment from Space Stig. Thank you for your comment. So Space Stig, any interesting flat Earth flat Earth topics, I'm gonna have to see what people are saying about the sextant. I'm kind of surprised that people are talking about the sextant, because as far as I know, you just can't do celestial navigation on a flat Earth, because the stars just mess everything up. And here's an interesting comment from Whitehorse Theology. The land beyond the Antarctic Circle may extend for thousands or even tens of thousands of miles, possibly forming a square shape, giving us the 4 corners, four archangels, etc. I actually made a little infographic, and I haven't set up. There's a logo overlay. I haven't. I haven't set up anything like this is my first time using StreamYard in a while, and so cinema layout, yeah. So I haven't set up anything where I can like screen share. I'm not quite sure how I do that, so I'm gonna have to learn how to do that. But I did make an infographic on the Antarctic. I guess it was Bird's mission to Antarctica, and then he had this quote saying the land just extends for thousands of miles, and like you could fit the entire continental United States over the unexplored area of Antarctica at the time that Bird made that statement. So literally the unexplored area of Antarctica when Bird made that statement was the size of the continental United States. And okay, so the sun and moon are small, and close to there's the same size. The Earth does not move. Everything above the Earth moves. Okay, that's essentially the flat Earth model. And I don't know if you've ever been to my channel, Whitehorse Theology, where I challenge people to go outside and make careful measurements of sun, moon, and stars. I never finished my flat Earth experiment series, but my argument, Whitehorse Theology, my argument is that if you go outside and you make very, very careful measurements, because people can argue all day about whether they see boats going over the horizon. They can argue about whether there's refraction and whether refraction causes things to look curved or not look curved, or do boats disappear bottom up? Oh, that's refraction. You could throw all those arguments out the window if you just look up, because when you look up, there's no atmospheric refraction, because you're going straight through it. And it is so funny. We got bricks in the background. So again, this is my first time with StreamYard in a while. I do have a green screen behind me. And so I just picked bricks because the other one was like some corporate office. And again, I'm just playing around. Oh yeah. Thank you for the comment, Trillion. Yeah, I've done a couple debates, but actually the thing that I think is most interesting, or at least most fun, is because I don't think anybody is convinced by a debate. I think both sides that go into the debate, you get the flat earth side, you get the globe earth side, they will leave the debate only having their own position cemented. So the thing that I prefer to do, Trillion, is the civil discourses, and I've noticed that MC Toon has been doing this, and like I said, I've been away from the flat Earth community for a really long time, but I've noticed that MC Toon is really doing a nice job with having conversations with flat earthers, and there's a little bit of gentle mockery. Like he'll he and the people in the chat will ask questions, and then some of the questions are kind of pointed, and they're kind of they got little barbs in them, but it's all good natured. So it's not like let's bring on somebody who we disagree with and then just try to rip them to shreds. This is a free. The reason to have debates is for fun. Yeah, absolutely. And I've done some really fun debates. And no, this is not a Freemason channel, although a Mason definitely put together those bricks. And so we got to cue the creepy music. But Space Dig had mentioned earlier Sextants, and then I guess they all took off from that. But the interesting thing, and I need to do my homework on this, but celestial navigation, if you can understand the concept of latitude matching the angle of elevation to Polaris. And I know Polaris is not exactly at the North Celestial Pole, but it's within it's less than a half a degree off of the North Celestial Pole. So if you use a sextant and you shoot to Polaris, that angle should give you your latitude. Now, once you have your latitude, well, now you got to figure out your longitude, and then you get that by shooting an azimuth to or shooting a sextant, finding the angle of elevation to another star. So White Horse theology, really the question is, what evidence are you willing to accept? Because what I've found from debating with flat earthers and participating in the flat earth globe earth debate is that there's a heck of a lot of evidence out there that gets selectively ignored. And then so it's really like what evidence, and White Horse theology, I definitely recommend that you go to my channel and then you take a look at what I call the flat earth experiments. The December solstice is coming up soon, and I've got a couple December solstice videos out there. I think I may sort of promote those, or nobody could prove a globe except all the people who proved the globe. I'm not quite sure what that. Oh, okay. Ha ha ha. And Johnny Ragadoo says you could try a noon sighting. Yeah. So if it's daytime and you can't see Polaris, then you can measure the angle to say the sun. But the issue with measuring it to the sun is that it doesn't cleanly translate into latitude. Like, that's the thing about Polaris, is like I think everybody can get their mind around the Polaris is above the North Celestial Pole. And White Horse theology says 1887 we proved the Earth does not move, and that's an interesting aspect of the debate is going back and talking about things that happened 100 almost 140 years ago, 135 years ago, and it's like, well, what about that was before space travel, that was before GPS, that was before weather satellites, and so there's so many advances since then. So it's like, okay, you can kind of argue about what happened in 1887, but everybody who made those observations they're now dead. So it's just a matter of somebody interpreting what somebody else said over 130 years ago. Interesting. Telescopes on EQ mounts track planets to go under the Earth. Yeah, that's a very cool thing. If you have an EQ mount, it will track things, basically under the Earth, and then it'll come back over the other side. So it's like if you have an EQ mount where it can spin 360 degrees. I mean, some EQ mounts, you have the problem of it kind of runs into its own housing, and you have to kind of do I guess they call it an azimuth flip or something. But if you have an EQ mount that can spin 360, yes, it will literally track something as it goes completely around. Oh, okay. So Johnny Ragadoo says, whoops, timing the solar noon gives you longitude. Yeah. It's a very interesting point, Johnny, in that the measure of time. So going back hundreds and hundreds of years before we had quartz movement on, like, say, wristwatches, even pocket watches weren't terribly accurate. The most accurate timepieces used a pendulum, because the pendulum, you could very finely tune a pendulum so it could swing, like 1 second per swing or something. So you could have a very, very accurate clock because you have a very accurate pendulum. Unfortunately, once you got on a ship, you can't have a pendulum clock on a ship. So when you get rid of the pendulum, they immediately lost the accuracy of their timepieces. And if you lose the accuracy of your timepieces, it's very, very difficult to determine longitude. I mean, they have almanacs, but, like, the best you would be able to do is figure out latitude. Oh, so Space Stick said that would be a good one to start with. I'm assuming you're talking about the EQ mounts. And then Whitehorse Theology says space is fake. That's an opinion. The evidence, I think, says otherwise. Okay, asking, and I'm mispronouncing Reese Eve. If I ever see a demonstration of the surface of water at rest measured empirically changing in elevation from a horizontal plane of reference, I will consider the globe model. Well, why be stuck with something about the like looking at a body of water and, like, I have to see a body of water in front of me curving? Because the scale of the globe is that the Earth is roughly 24,000 miles in circumference. So if you go 1 mile, and a lot of people don't realize this, 1 mile of water, like, let's say a pond that is 1 mile wide, the curvature of the Earth says that the hump in the middle of that pond, a 1 mile wide pond, will be 2 inches. And the question is, how are you going to see that? How could you even measure that? So that's an interesting point, asking. It's an interesting point, but the question is, like, how would you even photograph that? How would you measure that? It's very, very difficult to measure that. You certainly can't look at a body of water and notice that in a 1 mile span, the deflection is 2 inches of hump in the middle, because that's Earth curvature. And so the measure of, I guess it's called the sagitta, is 2 inches per mile squared. The actual Earth curvature is 8 inches per mile squared. But if you just want to measure, if you want to define what the hump is, it's 2 inches per mile squared. And then and then Space Dig says, show us an EQ mount that works on a flat Earth. Yeah, I've got a video on that. Wolfie had this challenge, and I was really kind of annoyed. He had a challenge for people to come up with a video talking about how a EQ mount works on a flat Earth versus a globe Earth. And I made kind of a video that I thought was really, really detailed, but the guy who was judging the videos, I don't think he even watched my video and gave me the lowest score possible. And I spent like 50 hours just building the contraption that I used to film that video. And I was quite proud of that. But yeah, if you could look up on my channel, it does an EQ mount work or something like that. It's does an EQ mount work on flat Earth or globe Earth. But yeah, so it looks like we've got 8 people watching, so it's now 20 minutes in. Um, uh, Lots of very interesting comments. Why is he wearing headphones? So this is my blue. Oh yeah, okay. So conspiracy, right? No, so this is my Blue Yeti mic, and the thing is, if I've got the speakers of the computer producing sound, I don't want that sound to go back into the microphone. So whenever I'm doing a live stream, and if anybody does a live stream with me as a guest, um, I ask them, please wear headphones, like, because you eliminate these echoes and stuff like that. So I do appreciate all the comments. So what I'm going to say is, and I've got a banner I'll prepare. Let me see. I got to turn off the comment. Okay. So yeah, you don't need a Blue Yeti microphone. I just asked you. I mean, you could use the microphone that's built into the computer. It's just that if you're going to be listening, then just plug in headphones, and then your experience of being on a live stream is much better. But I've got a little banner, because there are a couple new folks in the chat. A couple names that I haven't recognized. Like I said, I've been away from the flat Earth debate for about 2 years. So you're welcome to email me at flatearthmath@gmail.com. And there's a series on my channel called Civil Discourses, where it's usually like a 1 hour conversation, because I think sometimes these live streams get a bit ridiculous. So yeah, if you know anybody who would like, oh, okay. Somebody says, Space Dig says, please consider chatting with MC Toon. He's a new debate channel, and I think he'd be a great guest. I appreciate that. What happens if I try to display a comment? Okay, so it just replaces the banner. Okay. So I appreciate that, Space Dig. Yeah, MC Toon, I really like his approach, because one of the things that I really was turned off by in the flat Earth debate was the number of globe Earth folks who were only interested in just ripping to shreds folks who believe the Earth is flat. And I don't really think that is helpful. And the thing I really like about MC Toon is he does not rip anybody to shreds. I mean, he sort of verbally, dissects people's arguments. I mean, he's very skillful at slicing up arguments, but he doesn't slice up people. So yeah, I really like that about him. Okay, so this is an interesting comment from asking, if you just measured water changing in elevation at rest from a horizontal plane, you could substantiate gravity and sphericity, but the Earth is too big. Got it. Thanks. No, a lot of times the folks say, oh, the Earth is just so big, as if that's just, like we're just sort of tossing that out there, like, oh, it's so big, we can't make any measurements. No, we can make tons of measurements, but it seems that the expectation is that you could walk up to a body of water and say, huh, I am seeing this body of water, and I'm seeing curvature in this body of water. And that is not going to happen at the scale of the Earth. I'm not just saying the Earth is too big. I'm just saying you're not going to see that. You can measure it if you have, say, a theodolite. Jesse Kozlowski has literally measured Earth curvature in a 1 mile pond, and he measured the Earth curvature to be an 8-inch drop at the far side of the pond. It was really fantastic. So, but you need a theodolite, and the theodolite costs, I don't know, $1,200 or something. But if you use precision instruments, that pond is going to look perfectly flat. But it's like, who could see inches of curvature in 1 mile of water? But you can measure it. You can absolutely measure it. And so Flat Stuff Earth has uploaded 2,800 Flat Earth videos across all channels. Is that some kind of record? Yes, I think that definitely is some kind of record. None of them good, of course, just saying. All right. Very good. So I can't quite tell, Flat Stuff Earth, if you are actually a Flat Earth person or if you're a tongue-in-cheek Globe Earth person. But yeah, if you'd want to join me in a civil discourse, please email me. And Johnny says, watch the horizon expand as you climb in an airplane. You're seeing a spherical cap. It's really tough trying to look at a curved horizon. I mean, there's so many things that are working against you. I worked on the math for this for a really long time. And the analogy that I came up with is if you're standing on the shore of the ocean, and let's say you're standing and you've got an island that's like the size of your footprints, and so you've got ocean all around you, or maybe you're standing in a canoe, say. So your eyes are 6 feet above the water, but you see water all around you. Well, how do you represent that horizon? It's almost as if you made a cone. You have the sphere, and you made a cone on top of that sphere. Well, where would that cone intersect the sphere? It would intersect the sphere on a line where the flat-ish surface of the cone met the curved surface of the sphere. Oh, we moved past 1 mile now, Charlie. You have a lot of catching up to do. Ha ha ha. Thanks, John Watson. No, what I was talking about, I mean, we've measured Earth curvature, at any distance, but the point I was mentioning was that Jesse Kozlowski has measured curvature in water as short as 1 mile. I mean, obviously you could do it over hundreds of miles, but as short as 1 mile using a theodolite. I thought that he's the only person I've ever seen to do it. But basically, putting a very, very, very flat cone, all right, a cone that is so flat that the angles are almost parallel, right? Like 179 degree of angle, right? But you stick that on the sphere, and it's going to contact the sphere. The point of tangency of the cone to the sphere is going to be your horizon. If you are as tall as, if your eyeball is at the vertex of that cone. And so I ran the numbers, and it was just really hard to see, to try to put to numbers what mathematically is curvature or is visible curvature. And then when you rise up, basically what happens is when you rise up, the cone comes up with you, but when the cone comes up with you, the cone expands in circumference. So the problem with gaining an elevation is the horizon races away from you. Okay. So again, the analogy is that this cone, it's not that it's a cone Earth, John, but the analogy is that the cone is like your eyeballs are at the vertex, and your line of sight where it hits the tangent to the Earth. That's where you see a horizon. You see a line for the horizon, but basically the analogy is where that cone is tangent to the Earth. When you rise in elevation, the cone gets wider. So even though you're increasing in height, the cone, in other words, the circumference of the horizon line races away from you, which means it's even harder to see the curvature. You have to go up and up and up and up and up, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousand feet before you will get noticeable curvature. Which is why it's funny that a lot of flat Earth folks, they focus in on the ability to see a curved horizon. Like that's their line in the sand. If I don't see a curved horizon, the Earth has to be flat. And it's like, well, or the Earth could be 25,000 miles in circumference. So, and Astrorex has a good, interesting comment. Flat Earths have graduated to as far as the horizon, but they can't measure it. So yeah, that's what my channel, you know, like Flat Earth Experiments, that's what it's all about. It's about making measurements. But the thing is, not everybody has a beach. Not everybody has 100 miles of water that they can shoot, you know, a sighting across. So the whole purpose of my channel is like literally in your backyard, no matter where you live, in your backyard, you can make observations, very careful observations of the sun, the moon, and the stars. All right, good people. I'm getting lots of really, really great comments, and I tried to to highlight ones. I'm sorry if I missed your comment, didn't display it. And Space Sig talks about once you peel the conspiracy theory, you're no longer dealing with scientific evidence. But the thing about conspiracy theories is they make such great stories. You know, I love a good story. Everybody loves a good story, and conspiracy theories are just juicy, juicy stories, and so they're really, really fun to talk about. And then matrix decode. Yes, the angle to Polaris. I mean, and this is really gets back to the sextant. You know, the measuring the angle to Polaris. That's your latitude in the northern hemisphere. It's, you know, the thing about the flat Earth model is that they say, well, refraction causes the angle to be different. And it's like, you know, you've got this weird, you know, the error depends on latitude. You know, it's like, I think, I don't know, it's at 45 degrees north latitude. Well, that's the angle, you know, that's the perfect latitude, where Polaris is exactly where it should be. But if you go north of there, or if you go south of there, then you have all these errors that stack up. But thanks for that comment, Matrix. And Johnny says, when you leave port, it doesn't take long to drop the land out of sight. Yeah. And the other thing is, like, ships over the horizon. You know, I've heard ships over the horizon argued back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth, and then the flat Earth folks simply don't acknowledge that it's because of Earth curvature. They're just like, it's just refraction, or it's the vanishing point, or something. You know, so ships over the horizon can just be explained away. And Sphere, the description of the horizon that races away from you is curvature. Yeah, absolutely. But the point that I was making, Sphera, if I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, the point that I was making is that it's hard to see a curved line. Like, one of the things that I've done in some of my old debates is I tried to make a big distinction between seeing a curved horizon versus seeing the effects of curvature. Because when people say curvature, oh, there's no Earth curvature, sometimes they mean there's no Earth curvature. Sometimes they mean I can't see a curved horizon. And so, you know, you get into this word game thing. And so I would say that just what you were talking about, the horizon racing away from you, is curvature. Yeah, absolutely, it's curvature, but it makes it difficult to see the actual line of the horizon curving, because the circumference of that horizon line is getting bigger and bigger, you know, the higher you go. So at some point you get so high that, yeah, the horizon becomes visibly curved. Yeah, and that's a really good point. But anyway, so again, I do apologize if I didn't highlight your comment, but we're now 33 minutes in, and this was me dipping my toe back into the water. I really set up this live stream purely to test StreamYard again. I've used StreamYard before, but like I said, it's been 2 years. I literally just logged in after a 2-year absence, and I just wanted to test things out, because, like I said, Kyle Adams is a really, really good-hearted, friendly chap. He's a flat Earth person, flat Earth believer. But he and I actually have a lot in common. And so he and I are gonna start chatting soon. And I just wanted to test things out. Yeah, I need to see an actual curved line as a trap. And then Johnny's talked about the dip angle. That's very good. So So, John Watson, I don't know if you saw my my video on the black swan, but I suggest you you check it out because the um, the black swan imagery. I think that the thing that's key is that there's two main photos, John, of those two oil derricks. One's photo of the two oil derricks. They both look perfectly structurally integral, and the one in the back is behind the horizon. And then there's another photo where there's all sorts of crazy distortion where the crane is all zigzaggy or whatever, and it's in front of the horizon. So, the simple question is, which of these photos looks like it doesn't suffer from any distortion? And so, it's like if you want to go for the extraordinarily distorted one and say, "Oh, well, no, that's the actual one." That seems kind of silly when you have this other photo taken by the same photographer at the same location at the same height, showing the rear derrick behind the horizon with no distortion. It's like I think I'm gonna go with that guy. Wilbur Glenn Voliva, he was the one who basically determined the quote unquote ideal height of the flat Earth Earth and Sun as being 3,800 miles, which people round up to 4,000. So what Voliva did is he said, if you were at 45 degrees north latitude and you shoot an azimuth to like the sun, you'll see the sun like on the equinox. If you'll see the sun 45 degrees in the sky. And so that then it makes a 45, 45, 90 right triangle on a flat Earth. And so he basically said, well, 45, 45, 90, that means the distance of 45 degrees north latitude from the equator is about 3,800 miles. Therefore, the flat Earth sun and the flat Earth moon are 4,000. I'm sorry, 3,800 miles. Sarah Walker is a bot. Yes, Sarah Walker. I don't know what vast.tech is, but that does look like something a bot would say. Okay, so I am going to oh man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be closing off down this broadcast. So I do want to say there have been a lot of really, really good comments. And John Watson, Jose banned you. You retired 3 years ago. Rex with us. Oh, okay. He's talking to Rex. So John Watson, I don't know if I've ever spoken to you live. I would be very. I would welcome. I'd welcome that because I mean, you're mentioning some interesting observations 20 miles across the Bristol Channel. Okay, I'd like to see the information on that. But anyway, we have a Maria Rose that appears to be a bot as well. And I appreciate that comment, Johnny. I am looking forward to making more content. So anyway, I'm gonna shut down pretty soon. Can you please, if you have a flat Earth person who you are conversing with, and they want a civil conversation, I do not use any insults. I don't use profanity. I don't shout. I don't hit the mute button. And what I would like is if anybody wants to engage in a civil discourse, I'm happy to talk. So please email me at flatearthmath@gmail.com. Oh, my DeLorean. So I just tuned in. More, please. Yeah. So this was just a test. It was just a test of StreamYard. I wasn't gonna talk for too long. But I think the test is very successful. I got a lot of really nice comments. I really appreciate the participation, but I believe it is time to go. Thank you very much for all these great comments. All right, good people. Thank you very much again. Thank you for your kindness. I hope you have a great evening. Bye-bye.